Hello everyone, and welcome back to another spooky, scary Saturday. You are listening to Kristen from Beauty, who works at Bombshell in Richmond, Virginia, also known in the pinup world as Bonnie Lovely, the original Miss Pinup RVA 2016. And before we get into the horror film of the day, I just want everyone to know that this look is going to be a little different from the other looks that we have been doing. This will be more of a pinup and vintage inspired hair tutorial kind of at the later half of this. And if you need any more tips and tricks and more detailed instructions of how to do these pinup sort of looks out of a wet roller set, feel free to click on my other videos on my YouTube channel, and that is Chris Does Beauty. And now for this week's movie, we are doing a movie review on Scream. The release date was December 20th, 1996. It has a running time of 111 minutes. The budget was about $15 million, and the box office got to about $173 million. Directed by the man Wes Craven, the film combines dark comedy and the kind of whodunit mentality, kind of figuring out who is killing everyone, basically, with the violent and slight suspense of the slasher genre. It also pays tribute to the leads of slasher, including, but not limited to, the original Halloween, 1978, Friday the 13th in the 80s, A Nightmare on Elm Street, 84, and Prom Night. And really just Jamie Lee Curtis in general, who is definitely crowned the queen of Scream Queen in the slasher genre. The movie was unique at the time and the first of its kind to acknowledge the slasher genre and have the characters aware of the horror films that they are not in, but the horror films that they are fans of, and openly discussing the cliches and parallels, almost like a satire, without breaking that sort of fourth wall. They're not breaking the barrier, they're acknowledging that they're in a horror film, but they definitely make a lot of callbacks to, well, if this was a horror film, this is what would happen. They even go into one of my favorite parts, going into the rules of horror and what will keep you alive, what would you die from, going into all virgins live, you can't drink, you can't say I'll be right back, just very great things that this movie really accomplishes. And now getting into the plot of the movie, it starts out with Drew Barrymore's character, Casey Becker, in her house, just kind of settling in to watch a scary movie. She's popping popcorn on the Jiffy Pop on the oven, like in the clip earlier of what we did for the movie, and she gets a phone call, hears a strange voice, and they immediately ask what is her favorite scary movie. She is intrigued and I think wants to play along with the game, realizes quickly, soon into it, what kind of game it is, and that this guy's kind of out there, this voice is, and is willing to do whatever they want to her. She's not liking that. She tries to get out of it, and then her boyfriend dies outside because of again, horror film trivia that she answered incorrectly to them, even though it was kind of a trick question. And then the questions continue. She eventually does end up dying slowly while her parents are coming home, which was one of the first things that I remember watching when I was in high school. Watching this was just how tragic. I mean, she's literally just dying right there, and her parents are just like a few feet away, but they have no idea where she is, what's going on. And so that opening sequence is just very, you'll always remember that. It's always going to stay with you. The following day, the news media descends on the town and a police investigation begins. Meanwhile, we have Sydney struggling with the anniversary of her mother, whom she believes was raped and murdered about a year ago. She believes she had accused the man who did it, Cotton Weary, a man that she believes to have raped and killed her mother, even though, meanwhile, we'll find out the truth. In fact, that her mother, and you'll keep hearing throughout the movie, her mother was kind of a slut. kind of slept around with the whole town, was just not a faithful woman, and it's very hard for Sydney to see her mother in that sort of light. Sydney, in fact, later on that day, after being at school, receives a phone call from, again, another strange voice. She freaks out, starts running, hangs up the phone, and meanwhile, her boyfriend, Billy, shows up on cue, really. She finds a phone of his that kind of falls out from his pocket, and that makes her immediately pin it on him, thinking that he's the guy coming after her. He goes in with the police. The next day, he is released. They have no reason to hold him. After that evening, suspicion has shifted to Sydney's father, who is currently out of the town at that point. School is suspended in the wake of all the murders. After the principal has left the school, Principal Hembry is stabbed to death in his office. Tatum's boyfriend, Stu, throws a party to celebrate the school's closure. The party is attended by Sydney, Tatum, their friend Randy, Meeks, and many other students. Reporter Gail Weathers, played by Courtney Cox, and Officer Dewey are kind of just hanging around that party just to see if, one, the killer does strike again, and two, really, if they can get her anyway, if she can get any publicity out of it, basically. Meanwhile, after having sex, Sydney and Billy are attacked by the killer, who seemingly murders Billy. There's a lot of chases after that, and just a lot of people getting stabbed, people kind of going missing, things getting figured out. Eventually, Sydney comes back into the house, takes the gun. Stu and Randy appear, and they accuse each other of being the killer as she's going into the house. They're outside the house. Sydney then closes the door on them and doesn't want to trust really either of them because she's not really sure who to trust at this point. And now, once she is in the house, Billy is still alive, seemingly, stumbles down the stairs, falls down the stairs. She gives Billy the gun. He lets Randy into the house and then shoots him. Billy reveals that he is the killer and that he faked his stabbing, really, and that Stu is his accomplice, who was the other killer that stabbed him. Billy then and Stu discuss their plan to kill Sydney and frame the murder spree on her father, whom they have taken hostage and is in the closet. The pair also reveal that they, not Cotton, murdered her mother as she was having an affair with Billy's father, which drove his mother away. Meanwhile, Stu didn't have a motive at all, which makes it even more creepy on his end. Gail, whom you had presumed earlier was dead from a car crash that she was in, shows up and kind of tries to kill Billy at first, but finds out soon that she had the safety on. He pushes her, but while that is going on, Sydney has meanwhile run away and has grabbed the phone and starts calling them and threatening them, telling them that she's called the police, kind of turning the tables on them, playing a game with them, and all of that sort of stuff. Meanwhile, they eventually are able to kill both Billy and Stu. And then as the sun rises, the police arrive. Dewey, badly injured, is taken away by ambulance, and Gail makes an impromptu news report about the night's events. And that, everyone, is Scream, made in 1996. Really is a huge tribute to all the other slasher films before it, and just a huge classic in the Halloween realm of movies. So if you liked this movie review, you want to see a bunch more, and also like this Get Ready With Me, please go ahead and hit that like button as well as the subscribe button and turn on the bell notifications so you will be notified when I upload my videos, especially going up until Halloween with these spooky, scary Saturdays. And I will see you all next week.